Look, this is the content that people crave.
My face is the content that fucking ferret craves. Greetings, you terrestrial pedestrians, it is I, the pan-galactic princess of pansexual pandemonium, the super heavyweight super villain, the poly-antagonist, the trans-femme they-them paragon of non-binary finery, the estro-general, the NB to envy, the chromatic, dramatic, charismatic, only mildly asthmatic, fanatic of cinematic acrobatics, on the run from the cis dimension, Commander Stephanie Sterling. I hope you're all doing splendidly. The Commander loves you all, especially that one commenter who provides helpful timestamps in the comments on YouTube, telling people at what time they can click on to skip the wrestling content, leaving such helpful tips as 00:31 to skip the wrestling. Because that doesn't make you sound like a petty little bitch. The joke's on that prick this week though, because if they skip the content to get right to the meat of the video, they'll miss me holding a weasel. Ow. 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 It bit my... Ow! It bit my fucking chin!
Judith, why?
Oh, it legit bit my fucking chin.
She's vibrating, she's happy.
I'm glad someone is.
What did you do?
I just held the weasel like you told me how to hold the weasel.
Alright, hold the weasel like that.
I'm not holding the weasel again.
It's not even a weasel, it's a ferret.
Well, why did you tell me it was a weasel?
Ferret.
You told me it was a weasel. So I've been bitten and I look like a twat.
Do you want Judith back?
No.
I love you.
Wasn't even a weasel.
What if Rick and Morty fought the Batman, though? What if Shaggy out of Scooby-Doo fought Wonder Woman, though? What if Steven Universe fought the Tasmanian Devil, though? What if Arya Stark fought Tom and Jerry, though? These questions and a handful of others have been defiantly asked by Warner Brothers in its latest display of media mastery, Multiversus, a low-energy, high-branding Super Smash Bros. Ripoff that truly puts into perspective how much of our popular culture has been divvied up between a handful of terrifyingly powerful corporations. As a game, Multiversus is as bland as you can get, a fairly straightforward alternative to Smash, with an increased emphasis on team play. Multiversus uses an inoffensively generic art style to adequately merge such diverse properties as Game of Thrones, Adventure Time, and basketball into one cohesive universe. Despite the colourful cast of unique characters, the sheer lack of personality this game has is quite notable. Characters mutter occasional lines without much excitement, the soundtrack is nondescript, stages are quite sparse and forgettable, and overall the game just feels shallow. It feels plastic. It feels like what it is, a hollow flex from a company eager to showcase exactly how much intellectual property it claims dominion over. Crossovers are nothing new. Of course, they've been stoking excitement among fandoms ever since I was a kid, and that was a fucking eon ago because I'm completely, rottingly ancient. Aliens vs Predator, Freddy vs Jason, The Babysitter's Club vs Jacob's Ladder, there was plenty of promising mashup material for nerdy children of the 80s and 90s to get excited about. Sometimes these crossovers even happened, and when they did, they felt like genuine events. Sure, the actual results were less than stellar, but the very fact they happened felt special as hell. Back then, movies, TVs and games were owned by a wider variety of companies. This had its issues, as licensing these properties could be a fucking nightmare. Just look how hard it is to get official re-releases of certain licensed games because the rights have changed hands so much. Like, you've got the classic Simpsons arcade game, the license is owned by Fox, the game's created by Konami, but the current development rights are owned by, is it EA still? fuck even knows. It's a confusing mess, and copyright and licensing overall is a big hot mess of scumfuckery. Now, we have the opposite issue, and for consumer-based fandoms who care only about getting hyped for big-name products, the fact that Warner Brothers and Disney between them own the vast majority of American media is only a good thing. After all, it means they get to find out what would happen if Bugs Bunny fought Harley Quinn though, or if Velma fought the Iron Giant though. And frankly, I'm over it already. I was over it long before Multiversus became a thing. Clearly, given the fact that Multiversus is already attracting millions upon millions of players, I'm an unimpressed minority, but the fact remains, I am unimpressed. The idea of a crossover is that it's meant to be special, unique, an unexpected merging of two universes once thought an impossible interaction, but it's all possible now. If Warner Brothers owns it, and Warner Brothers owns most of it, a crossover is on the table. Movies, TV shows, games, comics, even real-life sports, it's all on the table, and Warner Brothers is sure as hell committed to making sure everything melds together in one massive orgiastic cross-pollination of media conglomeration. But the thing is, Multiversus is just the latest in a years-long effort by WB to continually show off how much it owns. We already had a massive crossover of intellectual property in the form of the Lego Movie, where Warner couldn't help but trot out cameo after cameo, reference after reference, IP after IP. A movie ostensibly about little plastic toys became one of many instances of corporate grandstanding as Batman, the Lord of the Rings, and more were wheeled out in vapid succession to yell, "Look at me, I'm a recognisable thing that you recognise, do you recognise me?" J.K. Rowling's a fascist. At first it was novel, but it keeps happening. Space Jam: A New Legacy sold itself pretty much entirely on how much intellectual property it could cram into a single film. Probably for the best, as it couldn't sell itself on anything fucking else. Disney's doing the same. The Rescue Rangers movie, despite critical acclaim, was nonetheless a chance to throw as many characters as possible together in the name of cheap pops and easy headlines on geek blogs. Wreck-It Ralph did the same thing for video games, mashing together quick one-scene goofs with the like of Zangief and Bowser. Everything has gotten so meta, so self-referential, that none of it matters anymore. If everything is special, nothing is special. If everything is a crossover, then nothing is a crossover. It's all just a homogenized, congealed media soup at this point. There's no meaning behind any of it. I don't care what would happen if Superman fought Jake the Dog though, because it'll just happen now, without circumstance, without grandeur, without meaning. Mainstream media's complete lack of chill has absolutely torpedoed the creative value of anything pop culture has to offer. By now, Disney has churned out so much Marvel shit across movies, TV shows and video games that people are finally starting to get sick of it. I personally completely dropped off of following any of the Marvel or DC shit because it's just too much, and I feel that way about so much of modern media now. It's an oversaturation of meaningless fluff, endless characters and universes thrown together in an increasingly desperate bid to find something that sticks. I've gotten tired of most things churned out by Disney and Warner Brothers now because that's exactly what it is, a churn, a never-ending schedule of focus-tested disposable garbage based on what gets the most amount of hype rather than what actually tells a good story. And Jesus H. butt plugs, Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe comprises 50 hours and 21 minutes of content. It runs longer than the first 3 phases put together, and none of it means anything anymore. There's too much for it to mean anything. I can't keep track of all that. I can't care about all of that, but the content just won't stop being shat out at a factory line pace because it's not about whether it means something, it's simply about having more nebulous stuff to sell. More reveals, more trailers to make the fandom piss its pants in excitable glee before quickly getting bored and looking for the next big distraction. More than that, however, my biggest issue with a product like Multiversus is just how fucking dystopian it is. Make no mistake, it's actually a bad thing. that one corporation holds so much power over so much of our entertainment media, no matter how many Smash clones it might lead to. That most of our culture has its values and standards set by one profit-driven entity is a little fucking creepy, really. Whether it's Warner Brothers, Disney, or Tencent, I don't like one bit that a tiny thimbleful of companies wields near monopolistic influence over so much of our media. These are companies that have proven willing to sanitize art for mass market consumption, sidelining LGBTQ+ representation to the point where it can be easily edited out for aggressive territories, while having the nerve to expect progressive head pats for tossing us the table scrap of a split-second on-screen lesbian kiss. These are dangerously litigious companies that fight to own intellectual property until long after it should have entered the public domain. Disney will sue you for so much as looking at Mickey Mouse with envious eyes, but it's got no problem ripping off ideas from other people liberally. The consolidation of power in capitalism is a bad thing always. It leads to terrible things. To use my favourite go-to, look at how fucking despicable broadband internet services are in the United States. Broadband companies split the country into little fiefdoms where they didn't have to compete, so had no incentive to provide a good service, safe in the knowledge you had nowhere else to go. This show has demonstrated many times how companies only ever react to threats, be they from competition, unionisation, or regulation. Without a threat, they are free to pursue their one objective, ruthless acquisition of profit, as mercilessly and cruelly as possible. I don't like it when corporations have too much power, and between them, Disney and Warner Brothers have entirely too much power. A game like Multiversus might be a little more than a wacky crossover in the eyes of most, but to me, it's a threat. A demonstration that WB has an alarming ownership of some of the most influential media in human history, and wields a massive amount of cultural influence itself as a result. And personally, I think it's simply sad that so much art is now in the hands of a few wealthy executives who have exactly zero respect for the integrity and significance of that art. While many will find it novel that Arya Stark and Finn the Human are in the same video game, I find it deeply fucking unsettling. A TV show featuring bloody murder and sexual violence crossing over with a charmingly dorky children's cartoon is just fucking weird. And when I say it's unsettling, I don't mean that from a moral standpoint. I mean it says something about how stripped of context and meaning our media has become, that a company could just casually merge Game of Thrones with Adventure Time and not even have to think about the grisly fucking implications. There are no implications, because there is no meaning. Not in a culture that gobbles up crossovers for crossovers' sake. Who cares about narrative justification? We just want to see Garnet punch Batman. Context? Who needs it? Context is dead. The sheer robbery of that context is creatively creepy. That a show involving multiple rapes, massacres, and infanticide can be seamlessly crossed over with a show in which a cowardly dog and his teenage friends solve quaint mysteries for the delight of children, and nobody is questioning it, is fucking twisted when you stop to actually think about it. Like, I'm not alone in this, right? Game of Thrones X Scooby-Doo is actually really fucked up, yeah? Like, I can't be the only one thinking about what Ramsay Bolton would do to Scooby-Doo if he ever got his fucking hands on him, right? Or if Daphne was forced to marry Joffrey. Shit's fucked up! Oh, but wait, no, Shaggy and Tyrion would have such a laugh together. Until Shaggy gets his fucking face burnt off at the Blackwater.
No, leave the ferret. Keep it away from me. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I had an absolute treat. I am thankful for everyone who watched today's video. I am thankful for everyone who continues to support the Jimquisition at patreon.com/Jimquisition. I am incredibly thankful, beyond grateful, that I had a tetanus shot a couple weeks ago, just in case I got bit by a fucking ferret. Thank God for me. Oh, and my next wrestling date is August 6th. That's next weekend. Leicester, the Midlands. My very first time back in the Midlands since I lived in that building where there was a human poo in the elevator. I was 5. So yes, the Y Theatre, August 6th, the Wrestling Resurgence. The Commander makes their Midlands debut. Thank God for me. I already did that bit, but it's worth reiterating. Thank God for me. Commander, out. Fucking hell.